This morning, my husband said something to me. Sarah, we need to close this chapter. What am I supposed to tell my family, my friends, that my wife is being abducted by aliens? 12 years of marriage, 12 years, and I have never felt this alone. I can't blame him. I really can't. Because a year ago, if someone had told me this story, I wouldn't have believed them either. But now, every night when I go to bed, I wonder, will they come tonight? And the man lying next to me, the man I've loved for 12 years, the man I trusted, the man I built a life with. He looks at me like I'm a stranger. My name is Sarah. I'm 33 years old. I'm married. I don't have children. And 5 months ago, my life changed forever. What I'm going to tell you today might be the end of my marriage. But maybe it's the story someone out there needs to hear. Because if you're living this loneliness too, if you're watching the person you love most not believe you, know that you're not alone. Before I tell you about the abduction, before I tell you about Mark's reaction, I need to tell you about us, about who we were before everything changed. Mark and I met 12 years ago at the University of Oregon in Eugene. I was in nursing school. He was studying civil engineering. We met at a coffee shop on campus, the kind of meeting that feels like a movie. Accidentally grabbing the same book, laughing about it, exchanging numbers. Our first date was a hike up Spencer Butte. Mark packed sandwiches, I brought apples and chocolate. We talked for 4 hours straight at the summit. About our families, our dreams, what we wanted from life. He told me he wanted to build things. Bridges, buildings, structures that would last beyond his lifetime. Leave something permanent in the world. I told him I wanted to help people. Be there during their most vulnerable moments. Births, deaths. The times when humans need each other most. Looking back now, I see the irony. He wanted permanence, I wanted presence, and maybe that difference was always there, waiting to pull us apart. But back then it felt perfect, complementary, like we balanced each other. We dated for 3 years, moved in together after year 2, got engaged on the anniversary of that first hike, and married 6 months later in a small ceremony at his parents' house in Portland. Nothing fancy, just family and close friends. My mom cried. His dad gave a toast about partnership and commitment. Mark's best friend made jokes about him finally settling down. It was simple, beautiful, real. The first 8 years of our marriage were good. Really good, not perfect. We fought sometimes. About money, about his long work hours, about my shift schedules at the hospital. Normal stuff, the kind of disagreements every couple has. But we always worked through it. We talked, we compromised, we remembered why we chose each other. We bought a small house in the Waiteker neighborhood. Nothing impressive, a 2-bedroom bungalow built in 1947. But it was ours. Mark spent weekends fixing things, updating the plumbing, building new shelves, making it better. I planted a garden in the backyard. Tomatoes, basil, lavender, things that made the house smell like home. We talked about having kids, eventually, when the timing was right, when we had more money saved, when Mark's career was more stable, when my hospital schedule was more predictable. There was always a when, always a reason to wait. I didn't mind. I loved my work. Labor and delivery at Sacred Heart Medical Center, helping women bring life into the world. It felt like the most important thing I could be doing. Mark loved his work too. He'd gotten a job with a civil engineering firm in Eugene, designing commercial buildings. It wasn't the bridge building he'd dreamed about, but it was good work, stable, well paid. We had date nights on Fridays, takeout Thai food and movies on the couch, weekend hikes when the weather was good, board game nights with friends once a month. We had routines, patterns, a life that felt secure. Mark would kiss me goodbye every morning before work. I love you, Sarah. Have a good shift. And I'd say it back. I love you too. Be safe out there. Simple words, said so many times they became automatic. But I meant them. I really did. That was our life. Ordinary, comfortable, safe. And then, June 7th, 2024, happened. The night everything changed. It was a Thursday. I'd worked a 12-hour shift, 2 deliveries, 1 emergency C-section. I was exhausted. Mark had texted during my shift, working late on a deadline, might not be home until 9, order food without me. Normal, nothing unusual. I got home around 7 p.m., fed our cat Luna, heated up leftover pasta, ate while scrolling through my phone. Mindless, tired. Mark got home around 9:30, later than he'd expected. He looked stressed. The project wasn't going well. Budget issues, timeline problems, the kind of work stress he'd been dealing with for months. We didn't talk much. He showered. I was already in my pajamas. We climbed into bed around 10:30. I love you, he said. Like always. Love you too, I replied. Like always. I fell asleep quickly, the kind of deep sleep that comes from physical exhaustion. And then I woke up. It was sudden, complete. One moment unconscious, the next moment wide awake with my heart pounding. The room was filled with light, blue-white, bright but somehow soft. It didn't hurt my eyes, even though it was intensely luminous. I sat up. Mark was beside me, still sleeping, not moving, not reacting to the light at all. Mark? I whispered. Mark, wake up. Nothing. He didn't stir, didn't shift, just kept breathing deeply, like he was in the deepest sleep of his life. And then I felt it, the vibration, running through my body, starting at the top of my head and moving down. A frequency I could feel more than hear. I tried to move, to get out of bed, to shake Mark awake, but my body wouldn't respond. The light grew brighter, and then they appeared. 3 figures, standing at the foot of our bed, small, maybe 4 feet tall, large heads, those eyes, huge, black, endless, gray beings, the kind you see in movies, in books, in stories people share online. But this wasn't a movie. This wasn't a story. This was real, in my bedroom, in my house, with my sleeping husband right beside me. I wanted to scream, but no sound came. And then I heard the voice, not in my ears, in my mind. Do not be afraid, Sarah. We will not harm you. We are here because you are ready. Ready for what? I tried to say. But the words stayed in my head. Ready to remember, ready to understand, ready to bridge. One of the beings moved closer, raised a hand toward me, and I felt something I didn't expect. Love, pure, unconditional. The kind of love that dissolves fear instantly. The room disappeared. I found myself somewhere else. A room with smooth, curved walls, soft gray color, light coming from everywhere and nowhere. I was lying on something, a surface that felt solid but adapted to my body perfectly. The 3 beings were there, watching me with those enormous black eyes, not with coldness, with something that felt like compassion. You are safe, the voice said. We have brought you here to show you something important, something you have been preparing for your whole life. What do you want from me? I asked silently. We want you to remember who you really are. Before you were born as Sarah, before you chose this life, you volunteered for this. You agreed to be a bridge between our consciousness and yours. Images filled my mind, not like memories, more like knowing, direct understanding. I saw myself, but not as Sarah, as consciousness, pure awareness, in a space between lives. I saw a meeting with these gray beings and with other souls, planning, preparing. I saw myself choosing to incarnate on Earth during this time, this specific period in human history. because humanity was approaching a crossroads. And women like me, women who could remember, women who could receive the message and share it. We were needed. I didn't understand everything. It was too much, too fast, too overwhelming. But I understood one thing clearly. This wasn't random. I hadn't been randomly selected. I had chosen this. Before I was born, before I became Sarah, the beings worked around me, not touching, just moving their hands near my body. I felt warmth, energy, information downloading into my consciousness. You will return to your home now, the voice said. You will remember what you need to remember when you need to remember it. Tell your partner, he must know. He chose to be with you for this reason, even if he does not consciously remember. And then everything went dark. I woke up in my bed, sunlight streaming through the window. Mark was already up. I could hear him in the kitchen. Coffee brewing. I looked at my phone. 8:47 a.m. Friday morning. I'd lost hours. 8, maybe 9. I sat up slowly. My body felt strange. Not sore, just different. Like I'd been somewhere my physical form wasn't designed for. I touched my abdomen. There was a mark. Small, circular, faint red, about the size of a dime. Physical proof. This had happened. This was real. I got out of bed, walked to the bathroom, looked at myself in the mirror. Same face, same brown hair, same hazel eyes, but something behind my eyes had changed. I knew things I hadn't known before. Not facts, understanding, deep cellular understanding about the universe, about consciousness, about why I was here. And I knew I had to tell Mark. I went to the kitchen. He was reading the news on his tablet, drinking coffee, normal Friday morning routine. Morning, he said without looking up. Sleep okay? Mark, I need to tell you something. He looked up then, saw my face, put down his tablet. Sure, what's up? I sat across from him at our small kitchen table. Took a breath. Something happened last night, something I can't fully explain, but I need you to just listen. Okay, just listen without interrupting. He nodded, concern on his face. I told him everything. The light, the beings, the craft, the message, the lost hours, the mark on my abdomen. I talked for 20 minutes. He didn't interrupt, just listened, his face going through expressions I couldn't read. Confusion, concern, something else. When I finished, there was silence. Long silence. Then he spoke. Sarah, you were having a dream. A very vivid dream. That's all. It wasn't a dream. I lost 8 hours. I have a mark on my body. This happened. He stood up, ran his hand through his hair, started pacing. Okay, let's think about this logically. You worked a 12-hour shift yesterday. You were exhausted. You had a very realistic dream. Your mind was processing stress through vivid imagery. This happens. Show me the mark, he said. I lifted my shirt, showed him the circular red mark. He looked at it, touched it gently. That could be anything. A bug bite, a scratch you don't remember, skin irritation. Mark, I know what I experienced. Sarah, he said softly, gently, I love you, but you need to hear how this sounds. You're saying aliens came into our bedroom, took you aboard a spaceship, and I slept through the entire thing? I don't know why you didn't wake up. Because it didn't happen. Because it was a dream. I felt something crack inside me. Not anger, sadness. Deep sadness that the person who knew me best didn't believe the most important thing that had ever happened to me. Okay, I said quietly. Maybe you're right. Maybe it was just a dream. But I didn't believe that. And I think he knew I didn't believe it. We didn't talk about it again that day, or the next day. We went back to our routines. But something had shifted. Something had broken. And I knew it was only the beginning. 3 weeks later, it happened again. It was a Tuesday night. Mark was working late. Again. The project was behind schedule. He'd been coming home after 10 p.m. most nights. I was in bed reading when the light came. Same blue white glow, same frequency vibration. This time I wasn't afraid. I was ready. The beings appeared. Same three, or maybe different three. I couldn't tell. Welcome back, Sarah, the voice said. Are you ready to learn more? Yes, I replied without hesitation. The bedroom dissolved. I was on the craft again. But this time I wasn't alone. There were other women there, 5 of them, all different ages, different races, standing in a circle in this impossible room. They looked as confused as I felt during my first time. The beings showed us something, a holographic display, images all around us, human history, ancient civilizations, and in each one, women, priestesses, healers, oracles, in contact with beings from the stars. We've been working with your species for thousands of years, the voice explained, guiding, teaching, preparing you for this moment. The images shifted, showed the present day, showed women around the world, thousands, maybe millions, all being contacted, all receiving the same message. You are being activated, the voice said. Your DNA is being adjusted. Latent abilities are being awakened. You are becoming bridges. One of the women, a young Asian woman, asked aloud, why women? Why not men too? Because women understand creation at a cellular level. You carry life. You transform energy into matter through your own bodies. You have never forgotten the connection, even when it was suppressed. The experience lasted what felt like hours. But when I woke up in my bed, only 2 hours had passed. And I had another mark, next to the first one. 2 small circles on my abdomen. I knew I had to tell Mark again, but I also knew. I knew he wouldn't believe me. I waited until the weekend. Saturday morning, we were having coffee. I'd been quiet all week, processing, trying to understand what was happening to me. Mark, I said. It happened again. He put down his coffee cup, closed his eyes briefly. Sarah, I'm not crazy. I know what I experienced. And there are marks. 2 now. Look, I showed him. 2 circular marks, in a pattern, deliberate. He looked at them, really looked this time, and I saw something in his face. Not belief, fear. Sarah, I think you should see someone, a therapist, a doctor. This isn't normal. Not normal doesn't mean not real. He stood up, started pacing again. That thing he did when he was stressed. Okay, let's say this is real. Let's say aliens are visiting you. Why you? Why our bedroom? Why is this happening? I don't know why me specifically, but they said I volunteered before I was born, that I chose this. Before you were born, he repeated. Sarah, do you hear yourself? I hear myself perfectly, and I know how it sounds, but I also know what I've experienced. And you're my husband. I need you to at least consider that I'm telling the truth. He was quiet for a long time. Then he said something that hurt more than disbelief. I think you're stressed. The hospital work is intense. We've been talking about kids but not doing anything about it. Maybe your mind is processing anxiety through these elaborate scenarios. This has nothing to do with work stress or kids. How do you know that? How can you be sure your subconscious isn't creating this? Because it's real, Mark. The marks are real. The lost time is real. The changes I'm feeling inside are real. What changes? I didn't answer right away because the changes were hard to explain. Enhanced intuition, knowing things about people before they told me, sensing energy in rooms, feeling connected to something vast. How could I tell him that without sounding more crazy? Never mind, I said. Forget it. But we both knew I couldn't forget it. And he couldn't unhear it. The conversation ended there, but the distance between us started growing. Over the next 3 months, it happened 3 more times. July 23rd, August 15th, September 2nd. Each time, the same pattern: the blue white light, the vibration, the beings, the craft, the messages about consciousness evolution and feminine awakening. Each time, I woke up with new marks, small circles forming a constellation across my body: abdomen, right wrist, left ankle, right shoulder blade, behind my left ear. 5 encounters, 5 marks, a pattern impossible to deny. But Mark kept denying it. After the third time, he stopped engaging with me about it completely. When I'd try to tell him what happened, he'd hold up his hand. Sarah, I can't. I just can't do this conversation again. But I need to talk about it. I need you to understand. Then talk to a therapist. Please, I'm begging you. Talk to someone professional who can help you process whatever is happening. He'd researched sleep disorders, brought home printouts about sleep paralysis, night terrors, hypnagogic hallucinations, conditions that could cause vivid, realistic experiences that felt completely real. Look at this, he'd say, showing me an article. This woman experienced the exact same thing: aliens, missing time, everything. But it was a documented sleep disorder. She got treatment. She's fine now. I'm not having sleep paralysis. How do you know? Have you been evaluated by a sleep specialist? I don't need a sleep specialist. I need my husband to believe me. That conversation happened at least a dozen times, always ending the same way. Him frustrated, me hurt, both of us retreating to separate corners of our small house. We stopped having date nights, stopped hiking on weekends, stopped the board game gatherings with friends. Our routines collapsed, replaced by tension and careful avoidance. Mark stayed at work later, always had one more thing to finish, one more deadline, one more meeting. I started picking up extra shifts at the hospital, anything to avoid being home, anything to avoid the silence between us. Luna, our cat, started acting strange. She'd stare at me for long periods, follow me from room to room, sleep pressed against my side every night, like she could sense something had changed. Animals know, I thought. Animals can sense things humans can't. Or maybe she just sensed the tension in the house, the marriage slowly breaking. After the fourth encounter, I did something Mark didn't know about. I joined an online support group for people who'd experienced alien contact. I'd found it through careful searching. Private Facebook group, vetted members only, anonymous if you wanted. There were hundreds of people in the group, mostly women, all sharing similar stories. The gray beings with the large black eyes, the missing time, the marks on the body, the messages about consciousness evolution. The pattern was undeniable. But more than that, they shared the isolation, the disbelief from loved ones, the feeling of carrying an impossible truth alone. I read their stories and cried, not from sadness, from relief, from finally not feeling crazy. One woman wrote, "My husband left me, took the kids, said I was having a mental breakdown. I haven't seen my children in 6 months, but I know what I experienced, and I'd rather lose everything than pretend it didn't happen." Another wrote, "I'm a doctor. I have a medical degree from Johns Hopkins, and I've been contacted 4 times. I can't tell anyone in my professional life. It would destroy my career. But this community keeps me sane." I started participating, sharing my own experiences, connecting with women who understood. One woman, her username was Starbridge47, sent me a private message. "I read your story about your husband not believing you. I went through the same thing. 5 years of marriage ended because he couldn't accept what was happening to me. I'm not going to tell you it gets easier, but I will tell you this: you have to choose your truth or his comfort. You can't have both." Her words hit hard because I was already feeling it, the impossible choice forming: Mark or my truth. My marriage or my sanity? The life I'd built or the reality I was living? I didn't want to choose. I wanted both. I wanted Mark to just believe me, to support me, to stand beside me through this impossible thing. But every day that passed, every encounter that happened, every mark that appeared, the choice became clearer. He wasn't going to believe me, ever. And I couldn't pretend it wasn't happening. Not anymore. October 3rd, 2 weeks after the fifth encounter. I came home from a shift at the hospital to find Mark sitting in the living room with two other people, his mother, Patricia, and his brother, James. My stomach dropped. I knew immediately this wasn't a casual family visit. Sarah, Mark said, standing, we need to talk. All of us. What's going on? His mother stood too, gave me a hug that felt forced. Honey, we're worried about you. Mark told us what's been happening, and we want to help. I looked at Mark. You told them? I had to. You won't get help on your own. So I'm asking for support from people who care about you. His brother James cleared his throat. Sarah, no judgment here. But we think you should talk to someone, a professional. Mark found a therapist who specializes in trauma and stress-related conditions. I'm not traumatized, and I'm not stressed beyond normal work stress. Then what's happening? Patricia asked gently. Because Mark says you're experiencing things that aren't real, that you're having elaborate dreams or visions, that you believe aliens are visiting you. I believe it because it's true. The three of them exchanged looks, the kind of looks people exchange when they think someone is losing their mind. Sarah, James said, I love you, your family, but you have to hear how this sounds. You're a smart woman, a nurse. You understand medicine and science. And you're saying aliens are coming into your bedroom and taking you to spaceships? Yes, that's what I'm saying. His mother sat down, patted the couch beside her. Come sit, honey. I sat, not because I wanted to, because I was too tired to fight. Mark sat on my other side, took my hand. His hand was warm, familiar. For a moment, it felt like before, like us. Sarah, he said softly, I love you. I love you so much, but I can't watch you go through this anymore. You're not sleeping well. You're anxious all the time. You're isolating from friends. Our marriage is falling apart. And I really think you're having some kind of breakdown. I'm not having a breakdown. Then prove it. See a therapist. Get evaluated. If there's nothing wrong, a professional will confirm that. And then we can figure out what's really happening. Together. It was a trap. A kind trap. But still a trap. If I refused to see a therapist, I looked defensive. Unstable. Like I was afraid of what they'd find. If I agreed to see a therapist, I was admitting something might be wrong with me, that I might need fixing. There was no winning. Okay, I said finally. I'll see someone, but on one condition. You all keep an open mind. You consider the possibility that what I'm experiencing is real, not a disorder, not a hallucination. Real. Mark squeezed my hand. Of course. If a professional evaluates you and says you're experiencing something real, we'll believe you. I promise. I knew he was lying, not intentionally. He genuinely thought a therapist would diagnose me with something. Sleep disorder, anxiety, trauma, something explainable. He had no idea that some therapists specialized in exactly what I was experiencing. That there were professionals who understood alien contact wasn't a pathology. But I didn't tell him that. I just nodded, said okay, let his mother hug me, let his brother pat my shoulder. Let them all believe they were helping. When they left, Mark held me, really held me, for the first time in months. Thank you, he whispered. Thank you for agreeing to get help. I held him back, but I felt the distance, even in the embrace. The gap that was growing too wide to bridge. Dr. Rachel Kim's office was in a small professional building in downtown Eugene. Second floor, cozy waiting room with plants and soft lighting. Mark had made the appointment. went with me to the first session, sat in the waiting room while I went in alone. Dr. Kim was in her 50s, Korean American, warm smile, kind eyes, the kind of person who made you feel safe immediately. So, Sarah, she said after we'd settled into comfortable chairs, tell me why you're here. I took a breath, made a decision. I'm here because my husband thinks I'm having a breakdown, but I'm not. I'm here because I've been contacted by non human intelligences 5 times in the last 4 months. And I need to talk to someone who won't immediately think I'm crazy. Dr. Kim didn't flinch, didn't look alarmed, just nodded slowly. Okay, tell me about these contacts. I told her everything, all 5 encounters, the beings, the marks, the messages, the changes I was feeling, the strain on my marriage. She listened without interrupting, took minimal notes, just let me talk. When I finished, she was quiet for a moment. Then she said something I didn't expect. Sarah, I want you to know that I believe you're telling me your truth. I'm not here to diagnose you with a disorder or convince you that what you experienced isn't real. I'm here to help you process these experiences and navigate the impact they're having on your life. You believe me? I believe that you experienced something profound. Whether that something was objectively real or a different kind of reality, that's not for me to determine. What matters is that it's real to you, and it's affecting your life in significant ways. I felt tears come, relief, finally, someone who wasn't trying to fix me or explain away my experience. Over the next hour, Dr. Kim asked careful questions, not about the beings or the craft, about me, how I was sleeping, eating, functioning at work, my anxiety levels, my relationships. She asked about my childhood, my family history, any past trauma, substance use, medical conditions. I answered honestly, no trauma, no mental health history, no substance issues, healthy physically, functioning well at work. At the end of the session, she gave her assessment. Sarah, from what you've told me and what I've observed, you don't present with symptoms of psychosis, dissociation, or any other major psychiatric disorder. You're coherent, rational, self aware, employed, functional in daily life. So I'm not crazy. You're not crazy. You're a person who's experienced something that doesn't fit into conventional frameworks. And you're struggling with the fact that the person you love most doesn't believe you. That's not a mental illness. That's a crisis of connection. She paused, then added, I want to keep seeing you, not to treat a disorder, but to support you through this. These experiences, whatever their origin, are real to you, and they're isolating you. You need a space where you can process them without judgment. I agreed, started seeing her weekly. But I made a mistake, a big mistake. I told Mark she said I was fine. No mental health diagnosis, no disorder. What I should have said was what she actually said, that I was experiencing something that didn't fit conventional frameworks. Because Mark heard fine as validation, as proof that I didn't need help, that we could go back to normal. He didn't understand. There was no going back to normal. Normal was gone, and it wasn't coming back. November, 5 months after the first contact. I'd been seeing Dr. Kim for 5 weeks. The sessions helped, gave me a space to process, to talk openly without fear of judgment. But they didn't fix my marriage. If anything, things got worse. Mark thought therapy would cure me, make the experiences stop, make me go back to being the Sarah I was before. But the encounters kept happening. Sixth one on November 8th, seventh on November 29th. Each time, more marks, more messages, more activation, as the beings called it. And each time, Mark's frustration grew. You're still having these dreams, he said after I told him about the sixth encounter. They're not dreams. Then why isn't therapy helping? Because there's nothing to help. I'm not sick. He'd started sleeping in the guest room, said he couldn't sleep next to me, that I'd wake him up talking in my sleep, moving, disturbing him. I think you're acting out these experiences physically, he said, while you're asleep, and it's keeping me awake. So the guest room started as a practical thing, but it became symbolic. The physical distance matching the emotional distance. We barely talked anymore, just logistics. Who's getting groceries? When bills are due? Whether Luna needs more food? Surface level, functional, empty. My friends started noticing. Jessica, my best friend since college, called one evening. Sarah, what's going on? Mark's posting all these work things on social media, but nothing about you two. And you've canceled on me 3 times. Are you guys okay? I wanted to tell her. I really did. But I remembered what happened with Mark's family. The intervention. The looks of concern that were really looks of pity. We're fine, I lied. Just busy. Work stuff. You know how it is. She didn't believe me. I could hear it in her voice. But she let it go. I'd stopped going to our board game nights, stopped doing the things that used to make me feel connected to community. Because I couldn't pretend anymore. Couldn't sit around laughing about normal things when I was carrying this enormous truth. And I couldn't tell them, because telling meant risking more interventions, more people thinking I needed fixing. So I isolated, pulled away, let friendships fade. The only place I could be honest was with Dr. Kim and with the online support group. Starbridge 47 sent me another message. I'm watching you go through exactly what I went through. The isolation, the loneliness, the person you love not believing you. I want to tell you it gets better. But the truth is, it gets harder before it gets better. You have to hit rock bottom before you can rebuild. I'm sorry, but that's the truth. I was starting to understand what she meant. December 15th, a Saturday. We were supposed to go to Mark's office holiday party I'd agreed weeks ago. Bought a new dress, tried to make an effort. But that afternoon, something happened at the hospital. A delivery that went wrong. Emergency, complications, a baby that didn't make it. It wasn't my fault. These things happen. Not often, but they do. The mother survived. But the grief, the loss, it was devastating. I came home at 6 p.m., 2 hours before the party. I was emotionally wrecked, exhausted, raw. Mark was already dressed, saw my face, asked what happened. I told him about the baby, about the family's grief, about how hard it had been. He was sympathetic, held me, said he was sorry, but then he said, "Do you still want to go to the party? We don't have to if you're not up for it." I don't think I can, I said honestly. I'm not in a good place. He was quiet. Then, okay, I understand. But Sarah, this is important for my job. These parties are where networking happens, where I connect with clients and partners. I really need to go. So go. I'm not stopping you. I know, but it looks bad if I show up without my wife. People will ask questions. I felt something flare inside me. Anger, resentment. So go alone and tell them I'm sick. Tell them I had a rough shift. Tell them whatever you want, but I can't go smile and make small talk tonight. I just can't. He ran his hand through his hair. That stress gesture? You've been canceling things for months. You're never available for work events or friend gatherings. People are starting to notice. They're asking if we're okay. Are we okay, Mark? The question hung in the air. Heavy, loaded. I don't know, he said finally. Honestly, Sarah, I don't know anymore. He went to the party alone. Came back at 11. I was in bed reading. He got ready for bed in the guest room. Didn't come to say goodnight. That night, lying alone in our bedroom, I realized something. We were married, but we weren't partners anymore. We were roommates, politely sharing space, avoiding conflict, waiting for something to break. 3 days before Christmas, December 22nd. I came home from an evening shift to find Mark sitting at the kitchen table, not doing anything, not reading, not on his phone, just sitting, waiting. I knew immediately something big was coming. Sarah, sit down. We need to talk. I sat, my heart already sinking. He took a breath, looked at me, really looked at me, and I saw something in his eyes I'd never seen before. Not anger, not frustration, resignation. I can't do this anymore, he said quietly. I've tried. For 6 months, I've tried to be patient, to be understanding, to support you while you work through whatever this is. But it's not getting better. It's getting worse. Mark, please, let me finish. Please, just let me say this. He folded his hands on the table, like he was in a business meeting. Formal, controlled. You're my wife. I love you. I've loved you for 12 years, but I don't recognize you anymore. You're distant. You're obsessed with these experiences. You've pulled away from everyone. From me, from our friends, from our life together. Because you don't believe me. I've tried to believe you. I really have. But Sarah, what you're asking me to accept, it's impossible. It goes against everything I understand about reality, about science, about how the world works. So you'd rather believe I'm crazy. I don't think you're crazy. I think you're experiencing something real to you. But I also think it's psychological, not physical. And you won't even consider that possibility. Because I know what I experienced. He closed his eyes. When he opened them, they were wet. Mark doesn't cry. In 12 years, I'd seen him cry twice. At his father's funeral. At our wedding. Sarah, I'm going to say something. And I need you to really hear it, really think about it. I nodded, unable to speak. Either you stop this, stop the obsession with alien abduction. Stop going to that support group. Stop seeing that therapist who's validating these experiences instead of helping you process them rationally. Stop all of it. Get a second opinion from a real psychiatrist. Actually try to find a medical explanation. Or, he stopped, took a shaky breath. Or, I can't stay married to you. The words hit like physical blows. I actually felt my chest constrict, like I couldn't breathe. You're giving me an ultimatum. I'm giving us a chance, I'm saying. If you're willing to actually try to fix this, to approach it rationally, to consider that maybe, just maybe, there's a psychological explanation, then I'll stay. I'll support you through treatment. I'll be here. But if you're going to keep insisting that aliens are visiting you, that you've been chosen for some cosmic mission, that our entire understanding of reality is wrong, and you're one of the few people who knows the truth. Then, he couldn't finish, just shook his head. Then you want me to choose, I said. Between you and my truth, I want you to choose reality, our reality, the life we built together. I felt tears streaming down my face, but not from sadness, from something deeper, anger maybe, or grief for what was already lost. Mark, I said slowly, carefully, if I tell you right now that it was all in my head, that I'll stop going to the support group and see a psychiatrist and take medication if they prescribe it, will you actually believe me, or will you always wonder? Always watch me, always worry that I might relapse? He didn't answer, because we both knew the truth. The damage was done. The trust was broken. Even if I pretended it never happened, he'd never look at me the same way. I love you, I said. I love you so much. But I can't unsee what I've seen. I can't unknow what I know. And I won't pretend it didn't happen just to keep our marriage comfortable. So that's your answer. That's my truth. He stood up, walked to the counter, leaned against it with his back to me. I'll sleep in the guest room tonight. Tomorrow, I'm going to my mom's for Christmas. You should. You should think about what you want. Really think about it. And after Christmas, we'll talk about next steps. Next steps meaning what? Separation? Divorce? He turned around. His face was wet now, openly crying. I don't know. I honestly don't know. I never imagined our marriage would end like this. Over something so impossible. He left the kitchen. I heard the guest room door close, heard him moving around, settling in for the night. I sat at our kitchen table, in our house, with our cat sleeping on the chair beside me. And I realized this was it, the moment, the choice Starbridge 47 had warned me about, my truth or his comfort. I couldn't have both. Mark left early Christmas Eve morning. Didn't say goodbye, just a text. At my mom's. Talk after Christmas. I spent Christmas alone. First time in 12 years. I didn't go to my mom's in Ohio. Couldn't face the questions, the concern, the inevitable suggestions that maybe Mark was right, that maybe I should get more help. Instead, I worked. Picked up a shift at the hospital. Christmas Day. Labor and delivery doesn't stop for holidays. 3 babies born on Christmas. 2 girls and a boy. Healthy deliveries. Crying infants. Grateful parents. Joy in the middle of sadness. I held those babies. Felt their weight in my arms. Their warmth. Their complete innocence and potential. And I thought about the beings, their message, about women being bridges, about consciousness evolution, about choosing to incarnate at this specific time to help humanity through transition. These babies, they were incarnating now too, choosing this time, this period of change. What would their world look like? Would humanity make the choice toward evolution or toward destruction? And what role was I supposed to play in that choice? One of the mothers, Maria, was a regular patient. I'd been with her through her entire pregnancy. This was her 3rd child. After the delivery, after everything was settled, she held my hand. Sarah, you look sad. Are you okay? I'm fine. Just a long shift. No, I can tell. Something's wrong. You can talk to me. I hesitated. Then, my marriage is ending. Maybe. Probably. Oh, honey, I'm so sorry. What happened? I laughed, a bitter sound. I experienced something he can't accept, something that doesn't fit his understanding of reality, and I can't pretend it didn't happen. She squeezed my hand. Sometimes people aren't ready for our truth, even people we love, especially people we love, because our truth challenges their comfort. She was younger than me, maybe 28, but somehow wiser in that moment. Thank you, I said. Whatever you experience, whatever truth you're carrying, don't let anyone make you doubt it. Not even your husband, especially not your husband. You know what you know. I went home after my shift, sat in our living room. Luna curled up beside me, and I made my decision. Mark came back December 27th. Knocked on the door even though it was his house too, like he was a guest now. We sat in the living room, formal, careful. Did you think about what you want? He asked. I did. Did you? He nodded. I've been talking to my mom, to James, to some friends. Everyone says the same thing, that I need to give you an ultimatum, that I can't enable delusion, that if you won't get help, I need to protect myself. And what do you think? He was quiet for a long time. Then I think I love you, and I think love should be enough. But it's not, because I can't share your reality, and you can't share mine. And I don't know how a marriage survives that. It doesn't, I said softly. We both know it doesn't. So what do we do? I took a deep breath. Let me tell you something, and just listen, okay? Okay. For 6 months, I've been living in 2 worlds. The normal world, where I go to work and pay bills and feed the cat. And the other world, the one where I'm being contacted by beings from another reality, where I'm being given information about consciousness and evolution and humanity's future, and you keep asking me to choose, to pick one world and reject the other, to say the normal world is real and the other one is delusion. But Mark, I can't, because they're both real. The contacts are as real as you and me sitting here, as real as this couch, as real as Luna sleeping in the corner. And if I pretend they're not, if I take medication to make them stop or see a psychiatrist who convinces me it's all in my head, I'll lose a part of myself. The part that's been activated, the part that's connecting to something vast and meaningful, and I'll resent you forever for making me choose between truth and comfort. He was crying now, openly, not trying to hide it. So you're choosing them, the aliens, over me, over us, over 12 years of marriage. I'm choosing myself, Mark. I'm choosing to not betray what I know to be true, even if it costs me everything, even if it costs you me. It wasn't a question, it was a statement, an acceptance. Even if it costs you, I confirmed. We sat in silence, the weight of it settling over us. The end of something that had been good, that had been real, that just couldn't survive this impossible truth. Finally, Mark spoke, his voice thick, broken. I'll move out after New Year's. Give us both some space. Figure out the practical stuff. The house, the finances, all of it. Okay? And Sarah, I want you to know, I don't think you're crazy. I don't think you're lying. I think you believe everything you're saying. And part of me, a small part, wonders if maybe you're right. If maybe I'm the one who can't see. But I can't live in that uncertainty. I can't build a life on maybe. I need solid ground. And you need freedom to explore this. Whatever it is, without me holding you back. You're not holding me back. Yes, I am, by not believing you, by making you defend and explain and justify. You need someone who just accepts, who says, okay, you're being visited by aliens. Let's figure this out together. And I can't be that person. No matter how much I love you, I just can't. He stood up, walked to the door, turned back. I really hope you find what you're looking for. I hope this all makes sense eventually. And I hope, someday, when this is over, we can be friends. Because I still love you. I'll always love you, even if I can't stay married to you. I love you too, I whispered. He left, and I sat alone in our house, soon to be just my house, with Luna in my lap, and marks on my body that looked like a constellation. And I cried, for hours, for the loss, for the love that wasn't enough, for the choice I had to make. But underneath the grief, there was something else. Relief, freedom, the weight of pretending lifting. I'm recording this today, June 7th, 2026, exactly 2 years after my first contact. A lot has changed. So much has changed. Mark and I divorced. It was amicable as divorce can be. We sold the house, split everything fairly. He's dating someone new, an accountant named Michelle. She seems nice, normal, uncomplicated. I'm happy for him, really. He deserves someone who lives in the same reality he does. I moved into a small apartment in South Eugene. 1 bedroom, just me and Luna. Simple, but it's mine. No one questioning my experiences. No one asking me to be smaller. I'm still working at the hospital, still delivering babies, still loving the work. But I'm also doing something else. Something I never could have done while married to Mark. I started a local support group for people experiencing contact. We meet twice a month at a community center. There are 8 regular members now, all women, ages ranging from 22 to 67. We share our experiences, support each other, remind each other we're not crazy, we're not alone, and we're starting to understand. We're all being given similar messages about consciousness, about feminine awakening, about humanity's choice point. The contacts still happen. I'm up to 14 now. The pattern continues. The marks form constellations across my body. But I'm not afraid anymore. Not isolated. I have community, purpose, understanding. Dr. Kim and I still meet. She's become more than a therapist. She's a guide, helping me integrate these experiences into my daily life. And I'm okay, really okay. Not just surviving, thriving. I won't lie and say the divorce didn't hurt. It did. It still does sometimes. I see couples hiking together, sharing ordinary moments, and I feel the loss. But I also feel the freedom, the authenticity, the alignment with truth. I'm living my reality now, fully, without apology, without compromise. And you know what? I'm stronger for it. If you're watching this video, if you're in a situation like mine, where the person you love doesn't believe your experience, let me tell you some things I learned. First, you're not crazy. I know people are telling you that you are, that you need help, that you're having delusions or hallucinations or episodes. But if you really know deep in your bones that what you experienced was real, trust that knowing. Second, you can't make someone believe you. No amount of evidence, no amount of explanation, no amount of passion or tears or pleading, if they're not ready to accept something that challenges their worldview, they won't, and that's not your fault. Third, you have to choose yourself, even when it's hard, even when it costs you relationships, even when people you love walk away, you have to choose your truth. Because living a lie, pretending something didn't happen, that erodes you from the inside, that kills you slowly. Fourth, you're not alone. There are thousands of us, maybe millions, people experiencing contact, people carrying truths that don't fit conventional reality. Find them, connect, build community, because community is how we survive. Fifth, the end of a relationship isn't always a failure. Sometimes it's an evolution. Mark and I had 12 beautiful years. We grew together, loved each other, built a life, and then we grew in different directions. That's not failure, that's life. He needed solid ground. I needed to fly. Neither of us was wrong. We just became incompatible. And that's okay. Painful, but okay. Sixth, if you're the partner, if you're the person watching someone you love change in ways you don't understand, I want to say something to you too. You don't have to believe their experience. You don't have to accept their reality as your own. But you do have to respect their truth, their knowing, their sovereignty over their own consciousness. And if you can't, if it's too much, if it challenges you too deeply, it's okay to leave, to say, I love you, but I can't do this. That's honest. That's fair. That's respectful. What's not okay is gaslighting, making them doubt their sanity, forcing them into treatment they don't need, controlling or manipulating or threatening. Love releases, love respects, love allows people to be who they are, even when we don't understand. Here's what I know now, what I learned through losing my marriage. Love isn't always enough. That's the hard truth. You can love someone completely, truly, deeply, and still not be able to stay together because love needs more than feeling. It needs compatibility, shared reality, mutual respect for each other's truth. Mark loved me. I never doubted that. But he couldn't share my reality, and I couldn't abandon my truth. And that's the impossible place, where love meets incompatibility, where devotion meets divergence. People say if you really loved each other, you'd make it work. But that's not true. That's a cruel lie we tell ourselves. Sometimes love means letting go, releasing, allowing the other person to live their truth, even if it doesn't include you. That's what Mark did. That's what I did. We loved each other enough to set each other free. And maybe that's the deepest love, the hardest love, the love that doesn't cling or demand or require. The love that says, I see you, I honor you, and I release you. It's evening. I'm sitting on my small balcony. Luna is beside me. The Oregon summer air is warm. In a few hours, I'm meeting my support group. We're having dinner, sharing stories, supporting each other through this impossible journey. Tomorrow, I work a shift at the hospital. I'll bring new life into the world. I'll hold babies. I'll remind mothers they're stronger than they know. And tomorrow night, or next week, or next month, the beings will come again. The light will fill my room. I'll feel the vibration. I'll go to the craft, and I'll receive more information, more activation, more understanding of who I really am and why I'm here. My life isn't what I planned. Not at all. I thought I'd be married with kids by now. I thought I'd have Mark beside me, growing old together, the ordinary, beautiful life we envisioned. But this life, this strange, impossible, extraordinary life, it's mine, authentically, completely, and I wouldn't trade it, not even to have Mark back, not even to have the comfortable, normal life we had before. Because I've been shown something, something vast and meaningful, and I can't unsee it. I'm a bridge between worlds, between consciousnesses, between what humanity is and what it's becoming. And that's my purpose. That's my truth. That's my life. Mark is living his truth too, building bridges out of steel and concrete, creating things that last, finding love with someone who fits his reality. And we're both okay, different, separate, but okay. So, to everyone watching, everyone carrying impossible truths, everyone choosing themselves over comfort, you're not alone. You're not crazy. You're not wrong. You're just awake. And awakening costs something. Sometimes it costs everything. But on the other side of that loss, there's freedom, there's authenticity, there's alignment with who you really are. And that's worth it. All of it. My name is Sarah. I'm 33 years old. I'm divorced. I live alone except for my cat. I've been contacted by non-human intelligences 14 times, and I'm okay. Better than okay. I'm free.